this right in your music, you can get your listener hooked. And it is a proven statistic that if you can get someone hooked and listening for longer, the longer they listen, the more likely they are to listen to more of your music, the more likely they are to follow you as an artist, the more likely they are to remember that experience and come back next time music comes out from you. But what's more, it gives you the perfect tool to use a piece of your music in all of your promotional materials to get new listeners intrigued in what you're doing. Have you ever had a feeling after you've sent a really important message, maybe it's to the person you love, something really exciting's happened, or you're waiting to hear back for, say, a job interview, and you have that tension built up, that almost cramp in your stomach. You just need the message to arrive 5 minutes ago, right now. It needs to be this minute. That feeling is something you need to generate in your music. Not consistently, not all the time, but now and again to elevate that feeling of tension and that wanting for something to be resolved. We can create that in our music, and the person listening to it just has to resolve it by listening on to see how that musical piece is resolved and restore their feeling. How can we do that in a piece of music though? Let's have a look. So let's look at some examples in Logic. I've opened up my track here. At the top it says No Stars, No Moon RC version, and it's asking to use my microphone on my phone for some reason. This is actually the track that ended up being Light Me Up, but I wanted to open up this version because it's got some really great examples in it of what I'm talking about in terms of that building suspension and listenability. So let's go through a couple of those and then we'll look at the actual tools of how you can make them and implement them into your music. So the very first one is I've got this false start. So if we look at the breakdown here, we've got our first set of 16 bars. That's long already. We've then got a second set of 16 bars, and most tracks would drop here on the 32. I've then got another 16 bar bridge building suspense. We've broken the rules of arrangement, but it works in a really nice way. I'm going to play this section through as an example. So what this does here, we start doing pretty much what you'd expect a standard build up in a track. It's the vocals in, things start ramping up, we get a bit of a tempo and then we strip it all away. So let's have a listen maybe halfway through so we can get an idea of what's going on.
Closing in on what I've got to do. Open my mind like it's all brand new. I've been stuck in circles all the time.
So listen to that as it would be a build-up, right? And we've got some elements in here that really help it build up and feel like the track is about to start. So let's play it from the start of the track. We've got a nice bring it in track starting, little bit of vocal to let us know that's going to be there. And the chords begin, okay? We're establishing our chord pattern now. We're establishing the harmony of the vocals.
Got lost and left it all behind.
Okay, and now we're starting the track.
Something in the way I used to move. Had my
Pianos are coming in, they're ramping up in volume and intensity. Bar 8, we're introducing extra melody. There's also a tempo beating in the background now, and that's going to get louder. And we're kind of building up to that track starting. Now we've not got every element there that you'd expect from a track about to start. We're saving those for later, but you can get that build up and that feeling, and then it's all taken away. And that builds suspense up into this section here.
Open my mind like it's all brand new. I've been stuck in circles all the time. Can't see through my mind. Perpetual mind.
We've got that rhythm again that's ramping up. This time we're using a white noise sweep, reverse cymbal. And this time we do really start the track. And we've built that up twice in 2 different ways, right? that's just one little tease. I do it again later in the middle of the track. What we do here in this track, this breaks all the rules of arrangement. This was more of an artistic track rather than a throw it to the DJ tune. Or they could build straight into this, drop the hook and then get rid of everything else. The rest of the track's there for artistic purposes. But the track here starts again, and I've got the same length in overall build up, but this time everything builds up layer upon layer.
So many times. I have got
So establishing the strings, bring all the chords and the hook back next.
Something in the way I used to move.
And the only rhythm is that little cymbal you can hear in the right ear. We're saving the drum and percussion for the next 16.
To do. Open my mind like it's all brand new. I don't wanna be.
And there's that low end rhythm again. I've taken the cymbal and lowered it right down.
Slowly fading out. I don't wanna be stuck in the past tense.
Everything's building up in level intensity. Here come the sweeps.
I need this now.
Ooh, and hopefully you really wanted that to drop. Hopefully. Let's go over some of those elements and tools that you can implement in your music. And I think using this section where we pull out all the stops is probably a good bet. So one of the first ones that we can look at is right here, still named default. If we grab it right here, it's called Whip Sweep. And it just does this. So the way that we can make that is relatively simple. We can do it using a synth. So in this instance, I've used something called Alchemy, which is a synth in Logic. All it is white noise and some filtering going on. So if we open up the automation right here, I can just press A, hopefully, and see all of those channels there. These are the things being controlled. The drive on the filter, so saturation, adding extra harmonics to white noise. I know, but it gives, just do it and you'll understand. The cutoff, so it doesn't actually do anything until here. I kept it really silent and then goes whoop right up into like an audio, right up into an audible frequency. Listen, you can see it happen and then it's there. And that just sits under the mix. It seems excessively loud on its own, but in the track, you got all the strings and everything and then it's just suddenly there. And then we've got the resonance. The resonance sweeps up and sweeps down as the overall pitch moves, and that's what gives us that whoosh effect. And then the resonance back down. If we open up Alchemy, we can see it all happen in real time just up here.
I don't wanna be stuck in the past tense. I have lost my defense, but I need this now.
Now we pair this up with this guy right here. And this is a bit of a secret sauce tool. It is called the riser. It allows you to do what I just showed you with the white noise really, really simply with either chords, sweeps or noise all in this tool. And as you can see, all these different points here are basically the different automation points that we just had, but they're built directly into the synth. So this and the white noise, or my whip sweep, they work in harmony together to make that rise happen like this. Yeah, so the white noise is all that distorted hissing and going on. This is also noise, but it's got other pitch effects going on. That's what you would describe as atonal. It doesn't really sit in a set pitch or tone or note. It creates kind of an uneasy ambient sound. This is used in horror music all the time to give that feeling of unease. That's what this does. It creates that unease and that ramp up and that build up in tension. Now building that in with the white noise sweep gives us all of our ramp up and our tension in that moment. Now the other thing is the timing of it. This starts first, then the white noise starts. Yeah? So we've got that horrible little atonal kind of noise going on, then all the white noise comes up around it. Again, you've got a little bit of uneasy feeling and then you're overwhelmed by loads of white noise. There's one last thing that works in harmony with this type of thing. Now there's one more thing that I layer up in these instances to create this kind of tension, and it is a reversed cymbal. So just any old crash. In this case it says it's a Kushma crash, crash number 4. I presume I kept that same sample in. All it's done is dropped in there, reversed and lined right up with the drop. And that just adds a load of high-end whoosh nice and quickly compared to the slower build-ups. So when all three work together, we end up with this. Tell me you didn't feel that in your stomach and you wanted it to resolve as soon as possible. It literally feels uncomfortable. However, embedded in all of the music, it's just kind of a thing there that you can hear and it's building up and you want it to end and resolve. So we end up with this overall feeling. Let's check it out. So right there, we've looked at moments of tension and building up to something that we want to resolve because of that atonal factor, the overall ramping up and tension of it being built up. But I want to also talk about the timing of that all. I've spoken that the riser, the atonal sound starts and then the white noise starts, and then to sort of polish it off halfway through, we've got the reverse cymbal that crashes in. That timing helps it all build up and add to the tension of it. But the way it ends as well, and what we do with the drums, it leads us into a false expectation, a much shorter one than we did at the start, where we tricked you for a whole 16 bars. Now we're just going to trick you for 1/4 note effectively, or 1/4 of a bar. And as you can see here, the riser and the reverse cymbal, they finish early and the white noise goes all the way through. And they do that so that this right here can happen. And because of the way they finish, you're expecting the track to drop, but it doesn't quite. They finish a little bit early and we have a little bit of anticipation again where we can drop in that fill and then drop the track. So with all four of those elements together, we end up with this. And then the overall track gets to drop because we can play around with that timing of where it happens. Now, how you want to do that really is up to you. If you listen to like some dubstep from back in 2012, everything's going to stop about here and you're going to have a vocal part that comes in that screams, "Call 911 now." And you can play around with that in a variety of ways. If you want to do an effect that's a bit more in line with the track, doesn't create discomfort, but helps everything build in, you can make use of something to do with the vocal and those elements. We could build it out using a vocal that's already in the track, like this track that I distributed with the channel sponsor, which is DistroKid. They let me get my music out to all of the major distributors, and they do that at a price an independent artist can easily afford. If you're ready to get your music or beats out there and want to release an unlimited amount of music each year, check the link in the description below for a discount off of your first year of unlimited distribution with DistroKid. How we can make these reverse vocal effects. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do it. What I like to do is blend a couple of the different ones together, maybe pan them left and right and give yourselves a different feel. So in this track here, I want kind of a reverse vocal to come into this first part just here. So we're going to utilize that as our source for making it. Now, so I don't mess anything up in my track, because we're going to need some spare channels, I tend to just go to bottom one like so and do Command D, or you can just go up here and just add yourself an audio channel. It can be useful as well to add two, and then we can dispose of anything that we need. So we've now got two spare channels, and I'm going to copy this down here so we can utilize it and then delete it later if we don't need it. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. The very first one is having the piece of audio like it is and just keeping it running forward and putting something like a reverb on it. Space Designer is a really, really good choice for this. So if we go into our effects and scroll down to reverb, and we can pick ourselves up Space Designer. Now at the minute it says mono or mono to stereo, and this is because it's a single track audio recording. I find this effect nicer if it's in stereo. So we're going to go mono to stereo, and we're going to take the dry signal all the way down, and we're just going to test play it back, because we don't want to just put the wet signal straight up to 0 because it'll often distort. So that's plenty of signal there, like peaking at -7.1. Now we can change the IR to whatever we like, the IR being the impulse response. So if we go up here, and let's say I want a really large space, I want this to be quite a long sweeping reverb. Let's go large spaces, halls, and let's take something with a relatively long time. Let's take the Abbey. Now we want pre-delay to be 0. Size is going to be a preference on how you want it to sound more than anything. Let's just loop around this and have a listen. Yeah, so that tails off for ages. That's perfect. We want to take the dry back out again, because that came back in when we changed the preset. And what we want to do from here is we're going to bounce that out as just that wet signal, but it's being fed by that initial bit of audio. So what we can do, an easy way to do this, make sure we've got loop off, right click on the piece of audio, bounce and join, bounce in place, and we're going to call this SD for Space Designer, and we're going to call it 2rev Vox, because we're going to reverse the vocal. Destination, new track. I just new track everything, and then I can move it all if need be. It just helps me keep a track of all the bits we're going to print here. Source we want to leave. We definitely don't want to bypass the effect. We want the effect in place. We need the included audio tail, otherwise it will just chop off at the end of the audio, and the rest is fine. Overload protection only or normalize. Boom. Okay, so now we've got this really long piece of audio, and it's got SD2rev Vox. We know what it's going to be, and if we play it, all right. So now, if we've got Inspector open, if you don't see this on your left-hand side, just press I and it'll pop open for you. Have that piece of audio selected, boom, just hit reverse. And what I'm going to do now is actually chop this. I don't want all of this bit. I'm just going to roll it back to approximately there. We're going to have to test it and see how it works. I'm going to take the audio tail down as well. And we're going to put 2 little fades in, just by going up to the top right-hand corner. See the icon change? You just pop a little fade just in there. We're going to move this up here, and we're going to pop it in front of that vocal sweep. Now, for me, this happens right at the start of my track, and I want to sweep into it. If I go up here to this little arrow, I can extend beyond bar 1, and I can just pop it in there. We're going to zoom ourselves right in, just using Option and the mouse wheel, and I mean, we've landed that pretty much bang on where we want it to be, right? So let's just have a little listen now to what we've created and see if it does the result we're after. All right, so it kind of builds up. Now you can then gauge how much of the vocal you want in, or you could have it so it fades out like this and you've got more of a transition. However you want to do it. You can line it up so it's exactly phase and everything as well. So it'd be more like this and then fade it right out. There we go, and that gives us a really nice easy transition there. And notice how stereo it is as well, even though we've gone from that mono signal. All right, so the other way to do this is to get the kind of coming into it vocal, and we're going to do that. So I'm going to bring our piece of audio down to that other blank audio channel I made, and this time we're going to put a delay on it instead, and I'm going to use the tape delay. So what I want to do this time is I want to reverse the original piece of audio, so we're going to reverse that as well. Boop, just like we did before with the bounced out part. I want to take the output down and just have the wet signal, and we'll put that up a little bit. And we just need to dial this in however long we want it to repeat for and what kind of rhythm we want it to repeat on. So let's say that's roughly what we want. What we're going to do now is the same process. We can right click, bounce it in place. You can just use Control B as well. And we're going to call this delay vox to rev, new track, all that jazz. All right, so now we've got this. All right, and I don't want all of this bit, I just want the ramp up again. So I'm going to trim that off and reverse this back so it's now facing the right way. And we're going to do the same thing. We'll pop this up here next to it with our other one. And we're going to time this so it comes in with you. So just zoom ourselves in, get that roughly to there and roughly to there. Let's give it a nice fade off. And overall, let's have a listen to our reverse vocal effects. Wow, you guys made it all the way to the end of the video. Hi, well done. That was probably a pretty long journey for you, but hopefully now you've got the ideas and concepts and then all of the practical tools and applications that you can apply this into your music, giving you way more power when you promote a song to use just that little section that doesn't quite ever resolve so that they have to click on and hear the rest of your music. I really hope it's been helpful for you. I hope it's a tool that you can use and you learned something. And if it was, please subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that I'm not doing a terrible job. Thank you very much again for watching. I'll see you in future videos. Take care.